I take a thing off of the movie Glengarry Glen Ross where they say,
always be closing.
Hi, I'm Jason Carris, a business and life coach, an entrepreneur, an investor, a speaker, a podcaster, and a loving father and husband, and this is Fundamentally Unstoppable. Today, we're talking about being coachable, having a coach in your life, why it's so important to remain coachable throughout your entire life. Basically, don't be too cool for school. There's always room for improvement. There's always room to learn. I take a thing off of the movie Glengarry Glen Ross where they say, always be closing. Always be closing. ABC, coffee's for closers.
Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only.
How about always be coached? Because there's always room for improvement. And not just that, not just personal development and professional development, but it's lonely at the top, isn't it? As a CEO, as an entrepreneur, as an executive, who's holding you responsible? Who's holding you accountable? Who can you confide with without it having a ripple effect within your organization? And, maybe you're part of a round table and you really just don't want the blood in the water. People knowing your dirty details of the business, the challenges you're running into. You just never know who somebody knows, and they're going to say, "Oh, he's having problems over there," or "She's having issues with her CFO," or whatever. And when you work with, if you've ever worked out with a personal trainer, like physical workout with a personal trainer, that's when you have your biggest gains, isn't it? It's because you're showing up. You're forced to show up even when you don't want to because you paid for the session. And you're typically giving it your very best because you're performing in front of someone else. So it has this really good effect. And I thought I would do some statistics on this. What backs up the concept of coaching? So, why should you do it? Well, because anyone is doing it. The top in the world are doing it. Presidents have coaches. Tony Robbins has coached some of the biggest celebrities, politicians in the world, people at the very top pinnacle of their field, and yet they are seeking coaching. And when you're looking for a coach, you're not saying like, this person has more knowledge than me. Maybe they do. But it's nice to have a guide. It's nice to bounce ideas off of. And, you never know who that coach might know. Like, for instance, with me, when I coach people, I don't profess to know it all. And if I run into a situation about a business or a strategy, or someone asks me a question in our coaching sessions, and I don't know the answer, I will find the answer. I have a massive circle of influence made up of bums to billionaires, basically. I can go to lots of sources and get that information. Plus, a coach can make connections. That's what my favorite thing to do, is make connections with my coaching clients, connect them to people that change their business, change their world. Maybe it's capital that they're requiring. Maybe it's professional expertise they're requiring. Maybe it's an introduction to a prospect. Anything like that. So the point is that high performance people are being coached right now, okay? Because they find the importance. Why do they find the importance? Because it works. So here's some historical and statistical data around it. Prevalence of coaching. This is from Forbes. 1 in 6 entrepreneurs turn to coaching to improve performance, while 1/3 of successful entrepreneurs have worked with a mentor or coach. That's a pretty big percentage. Growth in usage of coaching, right? This is from ICF Global Coaching Study in 2022. Business coaching share of the coaching market grew from 62% to 67% in 2022. Also, a return on investment. That's one of the biggest questions. What am I going to get out of this, right? Is there an ROI? This is from International Coach Federation. Companies report an ROI of 5.7 times their initial investment in coaching. Those are great numbers, with 86% recouping their costs. So does it work? Yep. Performance impact. This is from the Institute of Coaching. 70% of individuals receiving coaching report improved work performance, including better communication and productivity. Again, it's nice talking to somebody, and it kind of kicks you in the ass. You know what I mean? Because again, who's holding you accountable? If you're at the top, who holds you accountable? And who can you rely on? And who can you lean on? And who can you even commiserate with if needed, right? Every once in a while, you need to do that. There's a confidence boost. This is also from the Institute of Coaching. 80% of business owners note increased self-confidence from coaching. That's because they have a guide now they can lean on. They have access to information and people and things. That will give you some confidence. Productivity gains. This is from PwC. Coaching leads to a 53% increase in productivity and a 39% improvement in customer service for businesses. You know, why would it improve customer service? Because maybe you're the CEO and you haven't been focusing on customer service. You're focusing on growth or this or that, and then this wanes. Whatever you focus on expands. Whatever you don't focus on wanes. So, again, when you're talking to a coach, maybe he's making or she's making you think of certain things that you're not thinking of right now. You need to, right? Success rates, coaching counts report. 98% of coached individuals report satisfaction, with 95% saying they'd recommend coaching to others. There's the proof in the pudding. Here's one: regret among non-users, people who do not get coaching. This is cited from Cabbage and Score. 89% of entrepreneurs who don't use coaching wish they had. Well, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you use some access to knowledge and access to make it easier and to help avoid the pitfalls and not make the mistakes because someone's seen this movie a million times and they know, whoa, don't go down that rabbit hole. That is not a good one. Here's one: stage specific use. This is from Fast Company. 32% of seed stage executives use coaches, compared to 60% of CEOs in the growth stage. Most leaders are using coaching. Rapid impact. This is from GVA Success. 30% of business owners report growth after just one coaching session. I guess you can call that a proverbial kick in the ass. You know, we all need that. And again, it always comes back to accountability. And we're always doing better when first we hold ourselves accountable. But then the superpower is when somebody else is holding us accountable. We're on the display, the radar. There's no hiding a lack of productivity. You're being held accountable. And when you're being held accountable, you do more. So whether it's coaching with me, which I would love the opportunity to do with you, if it was a good fit, or it's coaching with anybody, find a coach. Find someone you gel with, someone who has the expertise in your industry, or someone who gives you a motivational kick, anything like that. Just the lesson here today is be coachable, always be coached, always be learning, always be growing. Ricky Bobby said, if you ain't first, you're last.
Gene, if you ain't first, you're last.
You should be first in coaching. You should be first in gathering knowledge to improve your life. And know this: when you improve your life as a leader, it reverberates throughout your organization. You're improving the lives of others. You're certainly performing better. Your companies are performing better. So be coachable. With that, I want to say thank you for your time. If you like these videos, please like, subscribe, share. If you have inquiries about coaching or speaking engagements, DM me. Again, thank you.